All right, solve the equation and then check your answer, okay? So remember our steps, okay? So we're going to rewrite the equation if we need to. Now, sometimes you might say, well, I'm going to change these to decimals, but remember, you probably have to change it back to a fraction. So I'm not going to change these to decimals right now, okay? So what I'm going to do is when we rewrite the equation, especially when we have fractions, I'm going to rewrite it so that we have the same denominators. I'm going to make common denominators. So I know -2 and 11 over 15 can stay as that. The 15, I know there's a relationship between 15 and 5. So I'm going to change this next fraction, right? -3 and 2/5. So -3 and 6 over 15. So the reason I changed 2/5 to 6/15, right? I want the same denominator, right? I multiplied both of them by 3, right? So 2 times 3 is 6, 5 times 3 is 15. All right, so I rewrote it, right? Because I'm going to need that in a little bit. All right, so locate the side with the variable. Which side has the variable, left side or right side? All right, if you said the left side, you are correct, right? It's over here. The variable's on this left side. Okay, what do you need to get rid of to isolate the variable and then perform that opposite operation on both sides? So what operation are you going to perform on both sides? All right. If you said if you said I need to get rid of this, the -2 and 11/15, the opposite of that is positive or +2 and 11/15. So that goes away. Right now I'm left with x right here. Okay, but remember what we do to one side, we have to keep it balanced. We got to do it to the other side, 2 and 11/15. So we're going to add 2 and 11/15 there as well. So -3 and 6/15 plus 2 and 11/15 equals. All right, so remember we got a negative and a positive. So what's the answer going to be? It's going to be a negative, right? Because bigger is the winner. So it's going to be negative, and then we would subtract them. Okay, and remember when we subtract these, we actually probably going to have to borrow. So I'm going to change this to 2 and 21/15, right? I just changed this because I would have to borrow, right? And then I would subtract 2 and 11/15. So that means 21/15 minus 11/15 is going to give me 10/15, okay? And then 2 minus 2 is 0. So I just get 10/15, which can simplify, right? Divide both of them by 5 to 2/3. Okay, well, that's a 3, 2/3. So my answer is not positive 2/3, but remember, the bigger is the winner, -2/3. All right, so let's check to see if this makes sense. Okay, we're going to check our answer. Wherever we see an x, we're going to plug the -2/3. So what this is like saying is -2 and 11/15 plus, okay, -2/3, not x anymore, -2/3. And actually, I'm going to change that. So real quick. So instead of writing the 2/3, I'm going to write the 10/15, okay, -10/15, which is the same as 2/3, but I just want to make sure it makes sense when I do this, right? And then does that equal -3 and 2/5? Now you could probably change them to decimals, just double check it, but it does. So this is the correct answer. X equals -2/3. All right, let's try another one. All right, pause the video. Try to solve this yourself, then we'll review. All right, how did you do? All right, step 1, rewrite the equation. Should we rewrite the equation in this problem? Absolutely, right? You see these two negatives, minus, minus, like, or minus and negative, it's a double negative. We don't like that. So let's rewrite it as -7/8 equals x plus 2 and 1/3, right? So the two negatives make a positive. So that just looks nicer to deal with. All right, so let's solve it. Step 2, what side is the variable on? If you said the right side, you're correct. Here's the right side. The variable is over there. All right, what do we need to get rid of to get the variable isolated or by itself? And what's the opposite operation then? All right, if you said we need to get rid of 2 and 1/3, absolutely, by doing -2 and 1/3. Okay, so they cancel out, right? And I'm going to subtract 2 and 1/3 as well from negative 7/8. So that means I'm left with x equals, now remember I have two negatives, right? Negative and negative, same sign. So my answer is going to be negative. Okay, now I'm going to try to multiply these, or subtract them. But I'm going to do that differently. I'm going to use the butterfly method. Okay, so I want to subtract. Okay, so, or I want to add them, really, because remember, same sign, take the sum. Right, so we're going to actually add them, 7/8. Okay, and then I'm going to change 2 1/3, 2 1/3 to a mixed number. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7, so this is 7/3. Okay, and I'm going to add them using the butterfly method. Okay, so remember we multiply 7 times 3, get 21, 8 times 7, right, that's going to give me 56. And then at the bottom here, I'm going to 8 times 3 is 24. So 24 is on the bottom, and 21 plus 56 would give me 77. Okay, now let's change this to a mixed number. Okay, how many times can 24 go into 77? Right, so it goes into it, 24 can go into it 3 times. Okay, and that will leave me, right, 24, 48, 72s, right, because 3 times 24 equals 72. So that means I can take out 72, and that's my remainder. I have 5 left over. So 3, remainder 5 over 24. 3 and 5, 24. So remember we said it was going to be negative. So negative 3 and 5 over 24. All right, then it says check your answer. If you plug this in, right, if we plug this in to our solution, we'll get negative 7/8 equals, right, x, which we said x is negative 3 and 5 over 24 plus, right, I'm gonna change that, plus 2 1/3. Okay, and if you did this correctly, or actually if you did this correctly, maybe you want to change the denominators to be the same, but this is correct, so that makes sense. So negative 3 and 5/24 is what x equals to.